Hey kiddos, this is Miss Neely, and I am excited today because today we get to talk all about sending letters in the mail. And so, if you've been keeping up with your English arts packet, you probably have already learned all about the different parts of a letter. And so, you've learned how we always start a letter with a date because when we send things in the real mail, the day we write it and put it in the mail might not be the day that it gets there, unlike text messages and emails and things. So we always write the date, then we always start with the word dear, and we address it to whoever we want to send it to. So if I wanted to write a letter to my dog Remy, I'd write, Dear Remy, and then I'd put a comma. Then we get to write whatever we want for the body of the letter, and then in closing, we write the word sincerely, a comma, and then we sign it with our name. So I would sign it with Miss Neely, but you would sign it with your name. Another important part of sending letters is making sure that we address them. Otherwise, the mailman won't know what to do with them. You can't just write a piece of paper and throw it in the mail. There's some other stuff you have to do before the mailman can deliver it anywhere. So the first thing you have to do when you have a letter that you'd like to send is that you need to put it in an envelope, just like this. And so envelopes are great. They can come in lots of different colors and lots of different sizes. It is important that you put your paper in there really nicely and neatly. If you just wad it up like a ball and throw it in there, the mailman will send it right back to you. He wants this to be nice and flat, okay? So after you've folded your paper up and put it in here, you'll put it right here in this little pocket. You get to do what I think is the most fun part of mailing a letter, which is you get to lick this part right here, because you can see there's a little bit of glue on it, and the glue activates when you get it a little bit wet from licking it. Then you'll fold it down and pinch it like that so that it stays nice and tight. This is the back side of an envelope. We never write on this side, okay guys? You don't want to do it. It won't go anywhere. If you do that, the mailman will again just give it right back to you, okay? So flip it over, and now you've got the front side. And so there's three important parts when we're addressing an envelope. First, we have to put a stamp. I'm going to just draw a picture of a stamp. A stamp is a very special kind of sticker that you get from the U.S. mail. Your parents can help you find a stamp at your house. I'm sure they would love to show you one. I don't have any here. I actually just had to order some. So stamps are very, very important because that's how we pay the mailman for taking our mail for us. It's very, very important that you always put stamps in the upper right-hand corner. They have to go here. If you put it anywhere else on this, the mailman will not take it and he will not accept it, okay? They have so many letters every day that they have to make sure you do things a certain way. Otherwise, it would take them too long to sort everything out. So this is where you'll put your stamp, okay? Then the next most important part is that we have to write who we're going to send the letter to. And we're going to put their name pretty much in the middle of our envelope. So I'm going to pretend that I would like to send a letter to Dean Pekaler. And so I'm going to write her name in the middle of my envelope. So Miss Dean Pekaler. So you guys see how that's her name and it's in the middle? It's a little bit up top because we've got to do a couple things under it too, but it's in the middle. The person you're going to send the letter to, you always put their name and their address in the middle. So the next part after we put their name is that now we're going to put their address. Go ahead and turn and talk to your neighbor and tell them what is an address. Okay, so addresses are very, very important. Addresses are how we get around, and it's how the mail system gets our mail. Every building has an address. Your house has an address, the school has an address, all of them have addresses. It's how we know, it's a couple of words and numbers that tell us where something is and helps us find it on a map, okay? And so we're going to use the school's address today to send a letter to Dean Pekaler, okay? So we've written her name. Now we're going to write what's called the street address. And so that's some numbers and a street name that helps the mailman know where Dean Pecaler is and where we want to send this letter to. So the schools is 2020 North, which we get to just abbreviate, Lamar Street. So I'm going to write that. And I'll write it right under, see how I wrote it right under her name? So this is her name, the name of the person we want to send the letter to. And then here is her street address, okay? Then we need some other information for the mailman to be able to find where he wants to send this to, or where he wants us to send, where we want him to send the letter. He's not sending the letter, we are. And so first we need the city. So the school is in the city of Dallas. After we've written the city name, we'll put a little comma. And then we need the state. The state is Texas. So I'm going to abbreviate that with a TX. And then last we'll have the zip code. And the zip code for the school, and this can be different sometimes, you just always have to kind of look this one up, is 75202. A zip code is always a 5-digit number, and it's something that the mail system assigns to help them with delivering things. So this is what the address will look like. So this is just the address of the person that we're sending the letter to. It's in the middle of the envelope because that's who we're sending it to. But there's a third important part, and the third important part is my address. You always have to put your address because you never know if maybe Dean Pecaler moved and she doesn't live at the school anymore, okay? And so you have to make sure that you put your what's called a return address, which is your address. And so that's how the mailman will know that if he can't get the letter to this address, he needs to get the letter back to you, okay? And so what you'll put is put your name. So I'm going to put Miss Neely, because that's my name, in this corner here, okay? It's always on the top, and it's the opposite corner of where you put the stamp, okay? So Miss Neely, and then you're going to put your street address, okay? And so I'm going to make one up because I don't want to put, it's very dangerous, kiddos, to just put your real address online. The school one is different because the school address is already online, and Miss Dean Pecaler does not actually live at the school. But I am not going to give my real house address out online. Please never do that. That would be very dangerous. Okay, so I'm going to say I live on 123 Apple Street. Okay, and so that's not a real address. I'm just making it up. 123 Apple Street. I've got the number and then the street, just like how I did for this one, because this is a street address and it's two parts. It's the number and the street. And then I'm going to say that I also live in Dallas, which is still in the state of Texas. And I'm just going to make up a zip code, 12345. Okay. And so that is what a fully addressed letter will look like, okay, guys? So I hope you guys can practice writing your own address at home. It's a very important skill. It's very important for you guys to know where you live in case you were ever to get lost or something like that. It's really helpful to know where you live. So ask your parents what your address is. Everyone's address will be different. It's like a name. We all have different names, just like we all have different addresses. The only people who will have the same address as you will be your parents and your siblings if they live in the same house as you, okay? So I hope you guys are all having a great day. I can't wait to get to see you guys again in the fall. I miss you, and stay safe.